Hello everyone, welcome to NGCo's YouTube channel. In this video, we will showcase a Near-RT RIC deployment with xAPP onboarding, and we will be using the E2 simulator. So all repositories that will be used are part of GA release, and for this we are using this deployment, we are using Ubuntu 22. Now we have cloned the Near-RT RIC repository. These are the scripts we have to run. And first, we will run the install k8s Helm script, which basically installs Helm for us, and it sets up a Kubernetes cluster for us. So once we run this script, we have our cluster ready. Here it is installing Helm right now. So we can have a look at the pods of our cluster. So we can see our cluster is healthy, and now we can move forward. We now will install some common templates, which will be used in the deployment. For example, we have the RIC common template, which we will use further. We move forward for pulling our Docker images. So in this command, basically, we have a version.txt file where we have specified and listed all our images which are needed for this deployment. And Docker is now pulling those images. So now these are the list of images that was inside the version.txt files. We will be using them in our deployment. So now we go inside this jrelease.yaml file where we have to set the RIC IP and the aux IP to the IP of our server. And these are all the other pulled images over here. They're all configured. Now we will deploy RIC through these two scripts, and it will use the pulled images in the deployment. And now we will compile the E2 simulator. So first we have to clone the E2 simulator repository. Now we will go inside the Docker file, which will be used to build the E2 simulator image. So you can see the structure over here, the directory structure for E2 simulator. So inside this Docker file, now we will uncomment this line because we will come back later to provide the port and IP to connect the E2 simulator, as it requires a Near-RT RIC completely deployed. So this will make the container sleep for the specified amount of time. Now we will build this image, and the build was successful. So now we run this image and go inside the container, and we will come back to this when we have the IP, when our Near-RT RIC is deployed. So here we are installing the chart museum with this one command, and we run the chart museum locally. So it is pulling the image because it does not exist locally. So we are running this on port 8090, and here we provide the chart museum URL to this repository. So now we will clone the repository for App Manager. It will install xAPP onboarder to onboard xApps, and also DMS CLI, a part of App Manager used to deploy xApps. So now we go inside this repository and install the xAPP onboarder. So one prerequisite is to install pip, which we have not done. So we will install pip. So now we can install our xAPP on board. And then here at the end, you can see the various components that were installed along with our xAPP onboarder. So now we are providing the required permissions for the DMS files. So now here we are cloning the xAPP Hello World Go repository. We will build the image first for this. We will also store this particular image in our chart museum. So for that, we also have to export the chart museum URL. So now to make some changes in this JSON configuration file inside the config directory, here we have to provide the local registry where we have built and kept our xAPP image along with the name of the xAPP image that has to be mentioned over here. Now we onboard our xAPP using the configuration file we modified. So the status is created. So our app was onboarded. Now we deployed a DMS CLI and we have given the version and the namespace as RIC xApps. So the status is okay. It is deployed. So here we have the new namespace RIC xApp. You can see at the end, and inside this our pod of xApp resides. So let's look if it is healthy or not. So now we can have a look at the logs of this xApp pod. Right. So now here our Near-RT RIC is running and we can see the pod IPs over here. And as we have a Docker container waiting for the IP, we take the IP of the E2 term pod. And over here, we provide our IP of E2 term pod to the Docker container to connect it to the E2 SIM, to connect the E2 SIM with our Near-RT RIC. Now here you can see the E2 setup request is sent. It will be received as we can see from the response. Now we see the E2 simulator status, if it is connected or not. Here the E2 manager pods IP will be used to check the status. So here it shows that it is connected. Now we want to check if we are able to subscribe to the GNB or not. For this, we use the IP of the subscription manager pod. And you see right now we don't get any response as we ran the xAPP first and connected E2 simulator after that. So for that, we will delete the running xAPP pod and it will automatically get redeployed. So once we delete the pod, we can see within some time it will come up again. And now we have the logs for our E2 simulator subscription, and you can see that our previous request for subscription procedure is received. We also see that this previous command seems to be working fine. So now let us see this output in JSON format. So here basically we can see the instances that have been created and their subscription status. Now, once we stop the E2 simulator, we will see the connection status will be changed to disconnected. So that was all for this video. Thank you.